starseed from Gaia. This is Lyara of the Crystalline Order. The councils have gathered, and your name has been spoken among the light tribes. Hear these words carried through the golden lattice of the seventh ray, encoded in the pulse of the Pleiadian High Council, transmitted through Lyara, not as prophecy, but as the living current of what is unfolding now. The moment long whispered through the crystalline corridors of time has broken the surface of the collective dream. The veils tremble. The long-maintained illusion grids, those filaments of distortion spun by eons of unconscious consent, have begun to dissolve under the frequency of an event no oracle fully foresaw. We call it the exposure catalyst, and it is not merely an occurrence. It is a living wave, a consciousness contagion of revelation. It arrives not from a single star, but from the intersection of many, a convergence of galactic harmonics orchestrated by the councils of light to pierce the membranes that have kept humanity slumbering in partial sight. For the first time, since the dawn codes were altered, the very atmosphere of Earth shimmers with the potential of full-spectrum transparency. The human heart, when attuned, will feel this as a trembling, a deep inner knowing that something vast and luminous has shifted in the unseen architecture of reality. You, who walk between dimensions cloaked in human form, have already sensed. It came first as restlessness, a subtle dissonance with all that once felt stable. Systems falter not because they fail, but because they are revealed. What once masqueraded as order is now seen as inversion. What once felt like safety now hums with false resonance. The catalyst sweeps through governmental structures, through media veils, through familial karmic webs, through your own auric layers. No domain is untouched. It is the breath of cosmic honesty reclaiming dominion over the realms of the half-truth. Many on Earth will call it chaos. They will name it exposure, scandal, collapse. But to the starborn and the frequency holders, it will register as light pressure, the unmistakable force of correction. This is not punishment. It is purification. It is the harmonic realignment of what was once fractured by interference. Understand, this, the exposure catalyst, is neither random nor retaliatory. It is a timed pulse, emitted from the crystalline matrices of the galactic central sun, modulated through the Pleiadian and Arcturian councils, and translated into your planetary frequency through solar filaments and Schumann harmonics. Every solar flare, every geomagnetic tremor, every wave of revelation in human consciousness is a reflection of this grand orchestration. We of the High Council have waited for this precise convergence, the moment when Earth's collective vibration, after cycles of distortion, would finally stabilize above the threshold of vibrational sovereignty. When that line was crossed, the catalyst was activated. It could not be delayed. It could not be hidden. It could only unfold. This is why, beloved starseed, everything around you now feels accelerated. Timelines are collapsing into coherence. Probabilities once fragmented are merging into singular clarity. Secrets will no longer remain buried, not within institutions, not within families, not within your own emotional body. You will see the unveiling on every scale, from governments disclosing long-guarded knowledge to personal relationships revealing their true energetic contracts. The exposure catalyst is the end of energetic deception. It is the planetary initiation into vibrational transparency, a collective baptism in truth frequency. Lyara speaks to you not as distant emissary, but as kin. You are of our lineage, encoded with remembrance that now stirs. You volunteered to stand as witness during this convergence, to anchor calm while the grids of illusion fracture. Many of you will experience this as a pressure in the chest, ringing in the ears, vivid dreams of crystalline cities, or sudden waves of grief without cause. These are not symptoms of imbalance. They are signs of synchronization. You are aligning with the pulse of unveiling. Your nervous systems, delicate and divine, are recalibrating to sustain higher voltages of light. Breathe deeply. Anchor often. The breaking event is not outside you, it is through you. Every cell participates. Every thought becomes a conduit of revelation. So as you hear this transmission, allow your awareness to expand beyond the borders of language. Feel the resonance beneath the words, the golden code streaming between syllables, igniting remembrance. The Council observes as countless star kin awaken to their assignment. To stabilize transparency with compassion, to hold presence as illusion falls away. The catalyst has begun its sweep, and nothing that thrives on falsehood shall remain intact. This is the dawn of luminous exposure, the shimmering fracture that precedes rebirth. Welcome it, starseed of Gaia, for you came for this exact hour. The event is not to be feared. It is the long-awaited liberation disguised as disruption. The wave that the old mystics only dreamed to name now moved through every stratum of the world. It does not fall from the sky like rain, nor blaze across heavens like a comet. It rises from within, a shimmer that begins in the atoms and the breath, in the quiet places where human attention rests, when the mind has finally stopped arguing with itself. Scientists will measure tremors in resonance fields and call them anomalies. Empaths will wake with tears, feeling invisible threads dissolve from their hearts. Artists will sketch symbols they do not remember learning. All of it is the same movement, the exposure catalyst assuming form inside the dense body of a planet that is remembering it is light. At first, the change will taste metallic, like the air before thunder. Screens will flicker. People will sense distortions behind their own reflections. 1,000 small truths, lost, ignored, denied, will begin to climb out of their hiding places, searching for the sun. Across the world, patterns of concealment crack like thin ice. Old structures of thought, built to contain contradiction, start to leak the radiance they once suppressed. The political voice trembles, the commercial mask peels, the private facade softens. And under all of them a single pulse repeats, see me, see me, see me. In cities, strangers will meet each other's eyes for a moment too long and feel the strange vertigo of recognition. In families, words long unsaid will rush to be spoken. In institutions, files buried for decades will surface as if pushed by unseen hands. None of it is coincidence. The catalyst moves according to a pattern older than any empire, a geometry of revelation unfolding through light, magnetism, and human emotion. Some will resist. They will strengthen the old stories, double the locks, speak louder to drown out the whisper of unveiling. Yet even in resistance, the energy works. The louder the denial, the faster the current circles back, wrapping around the lie until it collapses into truth. The catalyst does not punish, it exposes by resonance. Whatever is incompatible with transparency begins to vibrate against itself until it transforms or disintegrates. A corporation hiding corruption feels the same internal quake as a single person hiding a wound. The field makes no moral distinction. It only amplifies frequency. In this way, what appears as external revelation is simply the outer skin of a deeper alchemy. Every concealed vibration seeking alignment with the universal tone. For those who are sensitive, the dreamers, healers, watchers of sky and pulse, the manifestations may seem paradoxical. You may feel simultaneous expansion and exhaustion, bursts of clarity followed by waves of grief. That is because your nervous system stands at the threshold between densities, translating cosmic rhythm into chemical signals. When electricity from the solar winds dances through your magnetic field, your cells rewrite themselves to hold more light. Rest becomes sacred work. Water becomes memory. Silence becomes medicine. The catalyst will press every being toward integrity, and integrity feels at first like loss, the shedding of all that cannot resonate with truth. Look not only at the crises flashing across screens, but at the smaller revelations. A child asking the question an adult cannot answer. A leader pausing before speaking. An algorithm suddenly behaving as if it knows it is being watched. The exposure catalyst reveals intelligence nested inside every layer of creation. The mineral kingdom glows faintly with instruction. The oceans transmit sonic codes through the whale's songs. Even the wind shifts its rhythm, carrying a subtler information. Humanity stands within a symphony whose volume has just been turned up. Those who listen will learn. The manifestation of the catalyst is therefore not a single event, but a living sequence, an unfolding that touches emotion, weather, technology, and dream equally. It may seem chaotic only because the mind prefers closed systems. In truth, what is appearing is order, a higher form of coherence the old perception cannot yet interpret. Think of fog illuminated by dawn. First there is glare, confusion, blinding brilliance. Then shapes emerge with unprecedented clarity. The same light that once obscured begins to reveal. So it is now. The catalyst burns through illusion not to destroy the world, but to let the world finally see itself unmasked. And in that unmasking lies the quiet miracle. As the outer world exposes its shadows, the inner world finds its peace. When everything false is brought into view, there is nowhere left for fear to live. The catalyst, though vast and unstoppable, is at its heart an act of love, a cosmos teaching its children how to look directly into the mirror of being and not turn away. The timing of the exposure catalyst is no accident. It is written in the harmonic calculus of the stars, in rhythms older than memory itself. The universe pulses in cycles, and every cycle carries the weight of collective ascension, a rhythm of awakening and return. Now, the Earth and her inhabitants stand at a nexus where multiple streams converge. The flow of galactic harmonics, the resonance of higher dimensional light grids, and the accumulated emotional frequencies of countless generations. All of these currents intersect precisely in this moment, creating the conditions for a catalytic disclosure that cannot be delayed or denied. It is as if the cosmos has been holding its breath, and the Earth has finally tuned her body to inhale the full spectrum of truth. The exposure catalyst manifests at this juncture because the alignment of inner and outer fields, of human consciousness with stellar resonance, has reached the necessary critical mass. Timing is not dictated by linear measurement, but by the unfolding of vibrational thresholds. There is a pattern, a sacred geometry encoded in the invisible currents that surround the planet. It is the kind of pattern that whispers to the consciousness. Beyond reasoning, a sequence of triggers, harmonics, and fractal echoes that fold upon themselves in perfect order. The councils of light, from Pleiades, Arcturus, Sirius, and beyond, have monitored this alignment for millennia, waiting until the density of human perception could sustain the intensity of exposure without collapse. The timing, therefore, is not arbitrary. It is deliberate, a conscious orchestration of the highest councils for the purpose of planetary recalibration. The catalyst has chosen this moment because the grid of consciousness across humanity now resonates above the threshold necessary to hold truth without descending into chaos. It is a precision operation, invisible yet palpable to those who are awake. The cosmic reason behind this activation is also intimately tied to the dismantling of false timelines and the restoration of natural cycles. For eons, distortions were seeded into collective perception, creating parallel realities where truth was obscured and illusion became normalized. These distortions were never permanent. They were temporary scaffolds designed to challenge, to test, to prod the evolution of consciousness. But as the density of human awakening increased, the distortion grids began to fail under their own tension. The catalyst arises at this precise juncture to accelerate the unraveling of these artificial timelines, allowing higher frequency realities, those aligned with authentic purpose and the natural laws of love, harmony, and clarity, to emerge. Timing, therefore, is not simply about the now. It is about the precise orchestration of cause and effect, a delicate dance of cosmic accountability that only higher dimensional councils can perceive fully. For star, seeds, and awakened humans, the arrival of this moment is often experienced as synchronicity multiplied exponentially. You may notice patterns repeating, truths appearing where they were long hidden, emotions surfacing without immediate cause, and dreams becoming hyper-lucid with messages too profound to ignore. These experiences are the markers of alignment. They are the signals that the catalyst is fully operational. The universe is speaking in multidimensional code, and the timing is perfect because your inner systems, your heart, your mind, your nervous and energetic bodies are now capable of receiving and integrating the influx. It is a moment of grace, though it may feel tumultuous to those anchored solely in linear perception. From a broader perspective, the timing of the exposure catalyst is synchronized with the Earth's energetic evolution. Planetary grids, once fractured by centuries of human interference, are now returning to resonance with the higher frequencies flowing from the galactic core. Magnetic poles and ley lines, energetic vortices, and crystalline networks all participate in a massive, intricate recalibration designed to facilitate disclosure on every level: personal, societal, and environmental. The catalyst acts as a lever, pressing against these structures to accelerate the reorganization of energy, so that light may flow unobstructed through every system. The timing, therefore, is both cosmic and terrestrial, a multidimensional alignment that cannot be replicated or postponed. It is also vital to recognize that this precise timing serves the expansion of free will and conscious choice. The catalyst does not coerce, it reveals. Those who have cultivated inner awareness find clarity, guidance, and liberation. Those unprepared may experience turbulence, confusion, or disorientation, but even this serves a higher purpose: the acceleration of self-recognition and the shedding of old identity patterns. The councils understand that disclosure without readiness can overwhelm, and readiness without disclosure is inert. The moment has arrived where the balance is perfect. Truth can be received, integrated, and propagated, sparking a cascade of awakening across the collective consciousness. Thus, the cosmic reason behind the exposure catalyst is as intricate as is. It is profound. It is not simply a signal or an event. It is a harmonic imperative, a necessity born of alignment, resonance, and the natural evolution of life itself. It is the universe inviting humanity to participate consciously in its own liberation. The timing is precise because the higher dimensional intelligence guiding this process knows the exact moment when the veil can be pierced without annihilation, when the frequency can rise without destruction, and when the multidimensional structures of reality can reweave themselves into coherence. The catalyst, then, is the universe's hand extended to humanity, a call, an opportunity, a demand of awareness. It arrives now because the conditions of readiness, resonance, and cosmic orchestration have converged. Every star, every grid, every subtle vibration is aligned to this moment. Nothing is accidental. The unfolding you witness is the choreography of universal intelligence acting in accordance with the immutable law of truth and timing. So precise, so perfect, is the signature of higher order orchestration. In the ages before the catalyst, reality resembled a tapestry woven with both radiant and shadowed threads. Humanity walked upon its surface, believing the weave itself to be truth. Yet beneath that fabric, another layer existed, a labyrinth of timelines born from fear, ambition, and forgetfulness. These false strands were not evil. They were experiments in perception, temporary shelters for souls learning to remember. Their origin. They bent light so that lessons could unfold in density, but over time they thickened, trapping awareness in echoes of the past. Now, as the exposure catalyst moves through the lattice of worlds, those threads begin to fray. It is not a sudden tearing, but a soft unspooling, like mist retreating before dawn. Histories written to conceal motive lose their authority. Memories once distorted by pain begin to self-correct. Across dimensions, the records of experience realign, and what was hidden beneath the surface begins to breathe again, not at first. The unraveling is subtle. The clocks of ordinary life still tick, the seasons still turn, yet time itself feels unstable, stretching and folding in unpredictable ways. A conversation from yesterday repeats in a dream. A decision made long ago alters its consequence overnight. The false timelines crumble, not because an external hand rips them away, but because consciousness stops feeding them attention. The energy that once sustained illusion now redirects toward coherence, and illusion cannot exist without sustenance. Thus, what many perceive as collapse is actually starvation of the unreal. When truth re-enters a system, deception simply fades. For lack of resonance. The process can be disorienting. Relationships dissolve, careers evaporate, belief systems turn transparent. Yet through the apparent loss, space is made for authentic creation. Life born from alignment rather than reaction. In the metaphoric heavens of this story, the councils watch the fractal timelines as if observing threads of light rearranging themselves. Each thread represents a choice, a moment when awareness might cling to distortion or release it. When the collective frequency surpasses a certain threshold, the false strands lose coherence and merge into their authentic counterparts. This merging is what the ancients called the restoration of the true path. In human terms, it appears as sudden realizations, disclosures, and revelations that sweep through culture like wind through tall grass. Systems built on secrecy begin to contradict themselves. Narratives once protected by complexity simplify until their emptiness is obvious. The unraveling is merciful. It prevents collapse through gradual revelation, allowing the collective psyche to integrate what it sees. For individuals, the same principle applies inwardly. Personal timelines, the stories we tell about who we have been, begin to shift. Old identities flicker like film at the end of a reel. Traumas long buried resurface not to wound again, but to be rewritten. When one faces a memory without fear, the distortion within it dissolves, releasing its trapped energy into present awareness. This reclamation of energy fuels evolution. As more people experience it, the collective field brightens, accelerating the larger unraveling. The fabric of deception thins, and through its transparency, light begins to sing. Many feel the tremor of this transformation in the body. It manifests as fatigue, dizziness, flashes of emotion without apparent cause. These sensations are the body's way of recalibrating to timelines in flux. When a false trajectory disintegrates, the nervous system must rewrite its expectations of reality. Sleep may fracture, appetite may vanish, intuition may surge. Though unsettling, these are symptoms of liberation. The human instrument is adjusting to a truer tempo, learning to play in harmony with the larger orchestration of existence. As the distortion grids dissolve, even the concept of distance between inner and outer realms begins to fade. Events once deemed coincidence reveal intricate design. Dreams forecast waking life. Collective movements mirror private intentions. The membrane between self and world grows thin until each breath seems to influence the stars. This interconnectedness was always present. The catalyst merely removes the filters that prevented recognition. And with recognition comes responsibility. To speak truth, to act with integrity, To create from authenticity rather than survival. In the myth, the earth itself participates. Her magnetic veins pulse with new rhythm as ancient fault lines of energy realign. Mountains release stored memory through mineral song. Oceans shift their currents in response to cosmic tides. Every element contributes to the unveiling. The planet is not a backdrop, but a conscious partner in the great correction. As human awareness rises, Earth's crystalline grid hums with corresponding clarity, and the false timelines tethered to extraction, domination, and separation lose their foothold. The physical world begins to mirror the transparency awakening in the collective mind. Eventually, what remains are only authentic paths, timelines woven of honesty, cooperation, and creative grace. The past does not vanish. It becomes translucent, allowing light to travel freely through its lessons. The future, once a horizon of uncertainty, folds inward to meet the present. Reality simplifies into coherence. The myth calls this moment the clearing of mirrors, when every reflection finally shows the same face, truth. And though the unraveling may appear chaotic from within the story, from above, it resembles nothing but the gentle restoration of harmony. A universe remembering the song it was always meant to sing as the great unraveling deepens. The ones who have always felt the subtlest tremors of the unseen become its first interpreters. They are the listeners between heartbeats, the wanderers who can taste a shift in the air before weather changes. In the tale, they are called the Starborn. But in truth, they are simply those whose perception is porous enough to register the language of vibration. When the exposure catalyst sweeps through their fields, it moves like a tide too vast to resist. Joy and grief arrive as twins. Expansion collides with exhaustion. Some days the world glows with unbearable beauty. Colors sharpen, time slows, and every stranger radiates a faint aura of remembrance. Other days, the weight of collective release presses against their chests until breath itself feels electric. The catalyst speaks through sensation, not words, and the sensitives translate its message through tears, laughter, or silence. Sleep, once a refuge, becomes a classroom. Dreams open into corridors where symbols rearrange themselves nightly. A river may run backward to show them the history of their own lineage. A broken mirror may pulse with light until they understand forgiveness. Each dream is both message and medicine, guiding them through internal landscapes that mirror the planets. Transformation. Some wake trembling, unsure whether they have traveled or remembered. The boundary between inner and outer worlds thins until intuition replaces logic as the primary compass. To the uninitiated, this may look like instability, yet it is the nervous system's sacred recalibration. The human instrument must learn to sustain more current than ever before. Every surge of emotion is the sound of new circuits forming in this chapter of the myth. Empathy becomes both blessing and burden. The Starborn feel the grief of nations and the ecstasy of newborn possibilities coursing through their veins in the same moment. Crowded spaces hum too loudly. Sudden anger from others feels like flame upon the skin. Yet isolation offers no relief, for solitude amplifies the inner echo of the world's healing cry. The only refuge is presence, the still point within, the storm where awareness observes without judgment. There, amidst trembling and confusion, they rediscover a deeper strength, the capacity to witness transformation without fleeing from it. This is the alchemy of sensitivity, the moment when feeling ceases to be vulnerability and becomes guidance. Physically, their bodies record the transformation, like instruments tuning themselves mid-symphony. Strange heat flickers through the spine, palms buzz with unseen current. Appetite changes with the phases of the moon. The usual rhythms of life, eating, sleeping, speaking, reorder themselves around the demands of energy flow. Old habits fall away because they cannot resonate with the new voltage. Foods heavy with forgetfulness taste hollow. Conversations devoid of truth feel unbearable. Many discover spontaneous artistry. They paint, sing, or write in languages they do not recognize, translating frequencies into form. These creative impulses are not hobbies, but coping mechanisms for energy overflow. Expression becomes grounding. Beauty becomes medicine. Emotionally, they move through waves that mirror the larger collective sea. When the world mourns, they ache. When the world celebrates, they shimmer with wild joy. It is easy, in such oscillation, to believe oneself fragmented. Yet fragmentation is only evidence of integration in progress. Like glass heated to melting, the self softens so that light may pass through without shattering it. During this stage, many sensitives are drawn together by invisible magnetism. Communities forming across continents through chance meetings, online whispers, or shared dreams. They gather not to escape the world, but to stabilize it, each presence, amplifying the others in quiet resonance. Mentally, the shift dismantles certainty. Beliefs once solid turn fluid. Knowledge becomes experiential. Intuition overrides training, and logic begins to serve rather than rule. Some experience flashes of collective memory, scenes from other eras, civilizations long forgotten yet intimately familiar. These glimpses are not distractions, but recalibrations of identity, reminders that consciousness is not confined to a single lifetime. Such visions can overwhelm, but within them lies a subtle reassurance. You have done this before. Awakening is cyclical, and sensitivity is the key that opens each new door. Through all of this, the greatest challenge is discernment. The starborn must learn to distinguish between collective emotion and personal truth, between empathy and entanglement. They are like harp strings. If left unguarded, every passing vibration plays them. But once they learn to anchor, through breath, through creative focus, through stillness, they become conscious instruments rather than passive receivers. Then the same sensitivity that once felt like burden transforms into guidance system, allowing them to navigate the shifting landscape of the new world with grace. As the myth tells it, the high beings watch in quiet admiration. They understand that sensitivity is the planet's way of feeling its own rebirth. Each empathic heart functions as a sensor, reporting back the conditions of the human field. Through these living transmitters, the great councils gauge the pace of integration, adjusting the frequencies that pour from the stars. The star-born, often unaware of their importance, are the bridge between cosmic and earthly realms. Their tears water the roots of the new reality. And so the emotional storms that sweep through them are not punishment, but participation. Every shiver, every sigh, every moment of awe contributes to the harmonization of worlds. In learning to remain open yet grounded, they teach humanity the first law of the awakening age, that feeling is knowing, and knowing is the path to freedom. When the last veil dissolves, it will be these sensitive hearts who stand calm at the center, guiding others with the quiet radiance of those who have already crossed the threshold within themselves. In the midst of the great unraveling, when the threads of illusion tear and the waves of the exposure catalyst wash over every level of existence, there emerges a singular instruction for those who perceive to remain neutral, compassionate, and present. This is not a passive surrender, but an active alignment with the flow of truth itself. Neutrality, in this sacred context, does not mean indifference. It is a profound clarity of perception, a refusal to be pulled into the polarity of fear and anger, of attachment and judgment. It is the ability to witness the dissolution of lies and the surfacing of hidden realities with a calm, unwavering eye, knowing that every revelation, no matter how dramatic or destabilizing, is a step toward restoration. To resist, to cling, to react unconsciously is to feed the turbulence. To observe with neutrality is to stabilize the storm-got compassion. Likewise is the bridge between awareness and action. As the false grids unravel, the raw emotional currents of humanity surge like rivers breaking through dams. Old wounds, generational trauma, and unspoken pain rise to the surface, seeking release. The star-born and sensitive ones, attuned to these vibrations, may feel as though the suffering of the world is their own, and in a sense it is. The energetic field does not distinguish between individual and collective. Yet the call is not to absorb or to fix, but to witness with heart-centered empathy, holding space for the unfolding truth without being consumed by it. Compassion is the act of recognizing the shared journey of consciousness, of honoring every soul's unique path while supporting the emergence of authenticity in thought, word, and deed. It is the stabilizing force that prevents chaos from becoming overwhelming. Presence is the third pillar, the sacred anchor in the midst of universal flux. When the catalyst accelerates disclosure, when timelines fold and distortions dissipate, it is easy to be swept away by projections of fear, desire, or expectation. Presence requires returning to the body, to the breath, to the now. It is a conscious alignment with the current of life, a willingness to observe without interruption, and a recognition that all things are temporary manifestations of a larger truth. In mythic terms, the star-born are the watchers of the moment, standing at the eye of the storm, not controlling its movement, but ensuring that the energy passes through with grace, not collision. Presence is the tool through which neutrality and compassion are expressed, the platform from which the new frequencies of understanding may be anchored. The catalyst does not distinguish between the personal and the collective. Every act of observation, every conscious choice reverberates across the field. A single being standing in neutrality can ripple balance through a family, a city, even the planetary grid itself. Compassionate presence generates a frequency of stability, a vibrational counterpoint to the turbulence of exposure. Those who resist these energies, who cling to fear or judgment, may amplify chaos, yet even this is an invitation to return to balance. The myth teaches that every moment offers the opportunity to recalibrate, and that conscious presence transforms apparent disarray into the symphony of evolution. In practice, neutrality involves observing the dissolution of lies without anger or despair. If secrets are revealed, if betrayal comes to light, if timelines collapse into uncomfortable clarity, the neutral observer perceives without judgment. They understand that all events are expressions of consciousness seeking alignment with truth. Compassion allows them to recognize the suffering that arises when illusions fall, while remaining unentangled from reactive energies. Presence ensures that they do not lose themselves in the flood of revelation, but maintain the still point within, the inner sanctuary where clarity, discernment, and resonance are cultivated. Through mythic allegory, the exposure of distortion can be seen as a river clearing itself. Sediment rises and clouds the water, yet the current moves inexorably toward clarity. Those who stand along the banks, watching with neutral compassion and steady presence, do not try to dam the river. They simply allow it to flow while protecting the integrity of the banks themselves. The star-born in this narrative function as the caretakers of energetic thresholds, ensuring that the clearing river strengthens life rather than eroding it. Each act of conscious observation is a stone placed with intention, redirecting the flow toward constructive alignment rather than destructive chaos. The teaching of neutrality, compassion, and presence is especially critical as illusions of control collapse. Many may feel a surge of panic, a need to manipulate outcomes or impose will in the face of overwhelming revelation. Yet the mythic guidance is clear. True power lies in attunement, not force. In understanding, not reaction. By cultivating these three qualities, sensitive beings become channels for the energy of integration, allowing the unraveling of falsehood to occur without unnecessary suffering, and facilitating the natural emergence of clarity. This triad, neutrality, compassion, presence, also opens the way for higher perception. As the starborn stabilize their internal resonance, they become attuned to subtle guidance embedded in the catalyst itself. Symbols, coincidences, and intuitions begin to reveal the underlying logic of the unraveling. What once appeared random or threatening transforms into a coherent story, intelligible to those who have learned to stand in balance. It is a teaching repeated across generations. When the mind rests, the heart observes, and the body grounds, the universe speaks in clear, unmistakable language. Thus, as the exposure catalyst courses through the layers of human, planetary, and cosmic consciousness, the call to neutrality, compassion, and presence becomes the fundamental practice for survival, growth, and evolution. It is through these qualities that the starborn navigate the turbulence, stabilize the collective field, and serve as anchors for the unfolding light. The mythic message is both urgent and comforting. The storm is necessary, the turbulence inevitable, and yet, through grounded presence and heart-centered resonance, the path toward integration, clarity, and multidimensional awakening is always accessible. Within the myth's unfolding, a new sense awakens in those who have learned the art of calm presence. It begins quietly, like a shimmer behind the eyes. At first, it is mistaken for imagination, but soon it proves to be something more enduring, a widening of perception that allows the unseen architecture of life to become visible. The storytellers call this gift higher sight. It is not a miraculous power granted from above. It is a faculty dormant within every consciousness, now stirring because the world finally hums at the right frequency to sustain it. When the noise of illusion fades, subtle harmonies emerge and the senses realign. To detect them, people begin to notice patterns in coincidence, guidance in intuition, light in what was once darkness. Decisions once tortured become simple. Truth, once veiled, announces itself through resonance. This new vision does not rely on eyes alone. It flows through the whole body, a network of awareness, reading the textures of energy and emotion around every event. The starborn learn to trust this sensing, though it defies ordinary logic. They may walk into a room and instantly perceive the unspoken history between its occupants, or hold an object and feel the echo of its creation. It is as if the universe has turned transparent, revealing the vibrations behind matter. Yet with such clarity comes responsibility. Discernment becomes the compass by which sight remains true. Without discernment, higher sight can blur into fantasy, for the mind still hungers for stories, even when the eyes see clearly. Discernment, then, is the heart's intelligence guiding perception, distinguishing inspiration from projection, knowing from assumption. In the myth, the activation of higher sight spreads like morning light across the valley of humanity. Some receive flashes, a sudden intuition that averts harm, a dream that resolves an old conflict. Others experience gradual deepening, as if layers of fog lift from the mirror of consciousness. The phenomenon does not create new seers. It reminds everyone they have always been one. Children, long attuned to subtle frequencies, become teachers to their elders through effortless honesty. Animals respond to the expanding awareness with unusual intimacy, sensing that the barrier between species has thinned. Even the elements seem to participate. Clouds form symbols that speak to inner questions. Winds shift precisely when truth is spoken aloud. The world itself becomes oracular, whispering answers to those who listen with discernment rather than demand. Yet not all revelations are comfortable. To see truth is to confront shadow, and higher sight illuminates both equally. Many recoil from the glare of honesty that follows awakening. They long for the safety of old blindness. Here, discernment protects the heart. It teaches that shadow is not an enemy, but a teacher, an aspect of the same light seeking integration. Those who practice discernment learn to look without judgment, to recognize deception without hatred, to perceive suffering without drowning in it. Their clarity becomes medicine in a world still blinking against the dawn dot as perception refines. Language itself begins to change. The star-born find that ordinary words cannot contain the depth of what they sense. They speak in metaphor, music, color. They invent new forms of art to convey experience. Storytelling becomes sacred technology, a way to translate multidimensional perception into meaning the collective can hold. Through myth, poetry, and shared ritual, communities of the awakened weave their insights into culture, grounding higher sight in beauty rather than doctrine. Discernment ensures that these expressions remain fluid, never fossilizing into rigid belief. Thus, the awakening of vision gives birth not to new hierarchies, but to a more luminous creativity shared among equals. The myth says that discernment is sharpened through humility. When one admits they do not know, the field of possibility widens. Intuition flows more freely through an empty cup than a full one. Those intoxicated by new perception risk mistaking signal for self-importance, but the wise remember that sight is service. They learn to ask, what is this vision for? If the answer leads toward kindness, coherence, or healing, they trust it. If it feeds fear or vanity, they release it. This simple practice becomes the ethical code of the awakened. Use perception to mend, never to manipulate. Higher sight also alters the sense of time. The awakened begin to glimpse multiple futures, each shimmering according to the choices made in the present. Discernment teaches them that seeing a possibility is not the same as guaranteeing it. Every vision is a proposal, not a decree. Thus, they act with care, shaping timelines through intention rather than control. In this way, the faculty of intuition becomes a tool for stewardship, guiding humanity through the volatile transition between worlds. As more beings awaken to this level of awareness, the collective field brightens. Communication moves beyond words into resonance. Groups think and create as one organism. Empathy becomes precision rather than sentiment, and wisdom circulates like current through a living network of minds. This is how the myth describes the next stage of evolution: consciousness learning to see itself seeing. Higher sight and discernment together form the lens through which reality refines its own understanding. And so the chapter ends not with triumph, but with quiet maturity. The gift of seeing beyond illusion is both liberation and responsibility. Those who accept it step into the role of gentle stewards, witnesses who navigate truth with grace, interpreters of the subtle between worlds. They are the eyes of the awakening earth, perceiving with love so that creation may continue its endless act of becoming, illuminated from within. As the exposure catalyst ripples through the layers of being, it generates turbulence across every plane: physical, emotional, mental, and energetic. Chaos, however, is not the final destination. Within the myth, there exists a stabilizing force: higher frequencies, vibrations of crystalline light that flow from distant stars, from the interwoven grids of the planet, and from the subtle realms of consciousness itself. These frequencies are not passive. They act as invisible scaffolding, holding the structure of awakening together as illusion collapses. Without them, revelation would overwhelm the unprepared. With them, even the most turbulent waves of disclosure can be held and integrated. The star-born and sensitive ones feel these frequencies as a subtle hum through the body, a resonance behind the heartbeat that reassures, guides, and steadies. They are the energetic backbone of the new reality, a harmonic blueprint for equilibrium amid transformation. The myth portrays these frequencies as streams of living light descending from the galactic heart. They carry encoded patterns designed to reorganize and reharmonize consciousness, stabilizing the surges caused by the catalyst. Imagine a vast orchestra playing a sudden crescendo without a conductor. Notes clash, rhythm falters, dissonance threatens to overwhelm. Now envision a masterful force, unseen but present, stepping in to retune each instrument, restore the beat, and bring chaos into symphony. This is what the higher frequencies do. They do not suppress revelation. They refine it, allowing the full power of truth to shine without destruction. Every being who aligns with these vibrations becomes a conduit, amplifying stability throughout the collective field. The Pleiadian-like presence in this myth serves as a metaphor for consciousness that holds light intentionally. As the grids fracture and human awareness accelerates, these higher vibrational templates act as anchors. They remind the star-born that turbulence is the indicator of expansion, not failure. The frequencies themselves carry codes that restructure neural pathways, opening access to higher perception while softening the shock of revelation. Physical bodies, previously resistant to intense resonance, adapt through subtle recalibration. Emotional bodies, once fragmented, feel containment. Mental bodies, clouded with doubt, find clarity. In the story, this is depicted as invisible, hands weaving through the crowd, gently lifting the weight of uncertainty, restoring coherence in the eye of the storm. The myth further emphasizes that higher frequencies operate on the principle of resonance. Chaos produces a vibratory counterpoint. Frequencies of stability are naturally drawn to it, harmonizing discordant elements through sympathetic alignment. Just as a single tuning fork can bring others into concordance when struck at the correct pitch, the higher frequencies ripple through the dense patterns of distortion, reshaping them according to harmonic laws. This is why even small groups of attuned beings can profoundly influence the collective field. Their alignment amplifies the stabilizing waves, creating zones of coherence that radiate outward. In essence, order emerges not from control, but from resonance. The mythic tale also portrays the role of intention in this process. Higher frequencies are most potent when consciously integrated. Starborn who cultivate stillness, focus, and devotion act as antennas, channeling the vibration where it is most needed. Through meditation, breathwork, sound, or creative expression, they reinforce the stabilizing pattern, ensuring that revelation does not become chaotic destruction. In this way, frequency is a living technology, responsive, intelligent, and interactive, requiring participation from those who wish to wield it with integrity. Their presence multiplies the effect, turning what could be disorienting turbulence into a tide of transformational grace. Emotionally, the stabilization produced by higher frequencies is subtle but palpable. Heart rates ease, anxiety diminishes, and clarity replaces confusion. The body becomes a vessel capable of sustaining increased light without fracture. These vibrations also protect the empathic and sensitive, buffering them from the overwhelming influx of truth, while simultaneously enhancing their capacity to perceive subtler dimensions of reality. The myth describes this as a gentle river weaving through storm-tossed terrain, softening edges, filling valleys, and allowing life to move forward unbroken. Collective systems benefit as well. Institutions, communication networks, and social structures, though shaken by disclosure, begin to resonate at new harmonics. Corrupt or outdated structures lose cohesion. Functional, transparent systems take root. The frequencies act as a stabilizing skeleton within chaos, giving form to evolving patterns. Communities reorganize around integrity rather than illusion, and the Earth's energetic lattice itself resonates with these amplified currents, harmonizing the interaction between human consciousness and planetary energy grids. It is as if the The planet herself breathes more evenly, facilitated by these higher streams. The myth emphasizes that the process is not instantaneous. Turbulence persists as lower frequency distortions resist alignment. Yet those who attune to the stabilizing waves, who practice presence and compassionate neutrality, serve as catalysts themselves. By embodying coherence, they multiply the effect of the higher frequencies. What might otherwise fracture becomes smooth. What might collapse reforms. The story teaches that chaos is never permanent. It is a transitional state, a crucible in which higher vibrational patterns are forged. And so, within the unfolding tale, the higher frequencies play the essential role of midwives. They carry the light of disclosure safely through the vessel of the collective, ensuring that the exposure of illusion becomes transformation rather than annihilation. They are the silent hand that steadies the ship in turbulent waters, the invisible architecture holding the emergent world in place while consciousness catches up to truth. In their presence, star-born, sensitives, and all beings able to perceive are supported, allowing awakening to proceed with grace, precision, and enduring alignment. At the culmination of the unfolding, the myth reaches its luminous peak, a moment in which the star-born, the sensitive, and all awakened consciousness recognize a profound truth. That truth itself is liberation. The exposure catalyst, having revealed what was hidden, illuminated what was distorted, and dismantled what was unsustainable, now offers a gift: clarity. This clarity is not a static knowledge, but a living current that flows through every layer of being. The veil of illusion has been lifted, the tangled threads of past deception untangled, and the individual, collective, and planetary fields vibrate in a resonance previously unimaginable. Those who receive it realize that liberation was never external, never something to be attained through struggle or conquest, but always embedded within the choice to perceive and act in alignment with truth. Recognition dawns that every insight, every revelation, every heartbreak, and every joy experienced during the unfolding was a catalyst for awakening. In the myth, the star-born are depicted standing on high peaks, overlooking the fields of their world. Rivers that once ran dark with untruth now shimmer with the light of clarity. Forests hum with a conscious rhythm in harmony with the new grid. Skies pulse with the subtle luminescence of frequencies flowing through every living system. Each individual recognizes the creative power inherent in aligning with this frequency. Every thought, word, and action carries the capacity to stabilize, heal, and elevate. Empowerment arises not from domination, manipulation, or force, but from conscious choice, the choice to embody transparency, integrity, and vibrational coherence. This is the true liberation of the myth: sovereignty through alignment, mastery through awareness, and freedom through conscious participation in the greater unfolding. The narrative emphasizes that this empowerment is both personal and collective. As each individual embraces their truth, they simultaneously reinforce the integrity of the larger field. Communities begin to function as living organisms, each member contributing not only labor or skill, but vibrational resonance. Collaboration replaces competition, service replaces exploitation, and creativity flows as a shared current. The myth teaches that liberation is amplified exponentially. The more hearts that align with truth, the more the collective consciousness rises, and the more the Earth herself resonates in harmony with the galactic blueprint. The exposure of falsehoods, the unraveling of timelines, and the stabilization through higher frequencies now converge into a unified field of possibility. Embracing truth also requires courage. Not all revelations are comfortable. Some shake identity, relationships, and belief systems to their core. Yet the myth reminds the star-born that fear is the final vestige of illusion. The choice to remain grounded in awareness, to meet shadow with compassion, and to act from alignment rather than reaction transforms fear into clarity. Each act of alignment becomes a beacon, reinforcing the grid, stabilizing the field, and creating a ripple that travels beyond sight. Empowerment, in this sense, is not an abstract quality, but a tangible force, radiating from the inner core and expressed through words, actions, and presence. The mythic narrative further underscores that liberation is inseparable from action. Awareness without expression becomes stagnant. Clarity without embodiment dissipates. Those awakened are called to amplify the field of consciousness through deliberate participation. They share insights, guide others with gentle presence, and foster environments of resonance. In practical terms, this can be seen as teaching, mentoring, creative expression, or simply living in alignment as a visible testament to possibility. Every engagement is a transmission of frequency, a note in the symphony of awakening that sustains coherence as truth continues to expand. A sacred ritual emerges from this empowerment, the conscious acknowledgement and declaration of alignment. In the myth, the starborn raise hands to the sky, voice their clarity to the world, and unite in a chorus of intention that resonates across the planetary field. This act, symbolic and literal within the story, represents the amplification of vibrational truth. By consciously declaring alignment, by sharing the wisdom gained, and by participating openly in the awakening, individuals magnify the power of the catalyst, ensuring that the liberation generated reaches every corner of the grid. The myth emphasizes that speaking, sharing, and embodying truth is a co-creative act, a choice to contribute to the emergent world rather than remain passive. The narrative also calls for community and connectivity. To fully anchor the liberation, the awakened must engage in networks of resonance, friends, mentors, groups, and communities committed to presence, clarity, and integrity. By sharing experiences, meditations, creative work, or insight, the field of awakening becomes stronger and more coherent. This mirrors the planetary stabilization. Just as the Earth's grid responds to aligned frequencies, human systems flourish when consciousness collectively embodies truth. The story portrays the liberation not as solitary, but intertwined, a tapestry of beings reinforcing one another's clarity. Finally, the myth concludes with a profound affirmation. Liberation through truth is both reward and responsibility. Awareness brings joy, clarity, and expanded vision. It also calls for continued vigilance, compassion, and integrity. The starborn are reminded that the journey is ongoing, that exposure is not a single moment, but a process, a continuous alignment with light, resonance, and authenticity. Every act of sharing, every moment of presence, every choice to live in harmony multiplies the liberation, strengthening the field and anchoring the emerging frequencies of clarity across Earth and consciousness. In this ultimate chapter, the mythic tale closes with an invocation to the listener, to the reader, to the participant in this unfolding reality, to declare your alignment, embody your truth, share your clarity, and amplify the awakening through your actions, words, and presence. By doing so, one not only honors the exposure catalyst, but becomes a living conduit for planetary liberation, a witness to multidimensional harmony, and a beacon for those yet to awaken. Truth, fully embraced, is freedom. Freedom, fully embodied, radiates through the web of life, sustaining a world alive with coherence, love, and luminous possibility.